In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to memorize every primary triad forever. The primary triads are the 3 most common chords that you'll see in a major key in any Western classical music, pop music, and tons of other types of music as well. So if you memorize them, you'll be able to learn pieces a lot faster and with a much deeper understanding. Now we're gonna do this today in just 2 steps. And I'm also going to give you a bonus tip at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around. Welcome to Ashley Young Music Studio, where you're going to learn how to practice smarter, not harder. Let's dive in. Step 1 is to learn the formula to find all of the primary triads. Before we dive in, I really quickly want to let you know about a really exciting upcoming free 4-day event that I'll be teaching in June. It's called Piano Practice Lab, and during this event, you will learn how to design a weekly practice routine that accelerates your progress consistently and moves you beyond the notes to confident musical expression. This is a free event, but the seats will fill up really quickly, so make sure you use the link in the description below after you watch this video to reserve your free seat today. Back to the formula to find the primary triads. So before we dive into this formula, you need to understand one simple concept. Chords exist in the world in 2 ways. The first way is that they exist without relation to each other. For example, this is an E flat major chord, or this is a B minor chord, this is an F minor chord, and we just know that that's true based off of the notes in this chord, and we're not looking to how these chords relate to each other. I can play these chords on their own, they're individual and unique, and they exist alone. But the second way that chords exist is in relation to each other, meaning they are in the context of a scale. And when you hear the term primary triads, you know that we're talking about chords in relation to where they are in a scale. So stick with me and I'm going to show you what I mean. The primary triads are always 3 specific chords in a scale: the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So let's look at the C major scale. The notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now I can assign a number to every single scale degree. So C would be my first scale degree, D is the second scale degree, E is the third scale degree, F is the 4th scale degree, G is the 5th, A is the 6th, B is the 7th, and back to the first scale degree, C. Now I can build a chord on every single one of these notes, and that chord is also named for the scale degree that it's built on. So if I build a chord on the first scale degree, it's my 1 chord. If I build a chord on my 2nd scale degree, it's a 2 chord. A chord on the 3rd scale degree is a 4 chord. On the 4th scale degree is the 4 chord. On a 5 scale degree is the 5th chord, and so on and so forth. So in the case of C major, our first chord, or the 1 chord, is C. The 2 chord is D, the 3 chord is E, the 4 chord is F, the 5 chord is G, the 6 chord is A, the 7 chord is B, and back to the first chord, which is C. Now we're not going to pay attention to all of the chords other than the 1, 4, and 5 because this video is about the primary triads. So in order to find the primary triads for any key, I'm going to take the chord that's built on the first scale degree, that's my 1 chord. The chord that's built on the 4th scale degree, that's the 4 chord. And the chord that's built on the 5th scale degree, that's the 5 chord. And this is going to work in any major key. Let's do one more together. Let's look at a D major scale. The D major scale is D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Okay, so if I build a chord on the first scale degree, which is a D chord, that would be my 1 chord. Now, one thing to note is when you're building these chords on the notes of the scales, you need to keep the same sharps or flats that exist in the scales in the chords. So the D chord has an F sharp in it. So my 1 chord is a D chord, and then my 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, is a G chord. And then my 5 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is an A chord, making sure I have that C sharp in there. So in the key of D major, I have D major for my 1 chord, G major for my 4 chord, A major for my 5 chord. And this works for any major key. Now let's talk about step 2, which is to practice and commit the primary triads to the deep layers of your memory. And if you're liking this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because I release free content on a regular basis. Give this video a thumbs up and copy the link and share it with a friend or with a community of adult piano players who also could benefit from learning how to memorize their primary triads. Now, in order to complete step 2, where you're going to practice and commit the primary triads to the deep layers of your memory, you're going to play the primary triads and have some fun with them to commit them to your memory. I'm going to actually show you 10 simple ways that you can do this, each one building on the last. So you want to save the timestamp on this video so that you can come back to this when you are practicing and watch it, practice, and then level up. Watch it, practice, level up. So the first way to commit them to memory is to stick with one scale. So we're going to stick with the C scale for now. And you're going to play the chords in each hand separately. So let's go back to C major, because that one's simple. So we had C major, F major, G major. And I'm going to play those in each hand separately. Until I start to think about those chords as belonging together in a group. This might take you 1 minute, it might take you 10 minutes. I also recommend that you do this in different areas on the piano. So you can move up high, you can move down low. The second way is to play the chords in both hands together at the same time. Again, really moving around the piano, focusing on how they sound and how they feel in your hands when you play them. Another great thing to do at this step is to say the chords out loud. So C, F, G, 1, 4, 5, C, F, G, 1, 4, 5, so that you're really making that connection between what the letter names of the chords are and how they exist inside the key or how they relate back to the primary triads. Now let's make the brain work a little harder. The third way you can practice this is to make the left hand just play the first note of this chord while the right hand plays the chord. So C, F, G, 1, 4, 5. The fourth way we can level up is to do that again, but with octaves in the left hand. So C, F, G, 1, 4, 5. Notice that I'm saying the letter names of the chords out loud and the number of the chord out loud. Saying it out loud really does make a difference. It makes sure my brain stays engaged and commits this information to memory. So the fifth way that you can really memorize these chords is to make sure that you are in fact speaking out loud. No, it's not good enough if you do it in your head. Do it out loud. The sixth way you can commit these chords to memory is to add some fun rhythm. So C, F, G, C, 1, 4, 5, 1. Now we're going to add some pedal. Now notice each time it's sounding a little more musical, it's sounding a little more fun, and it's more interesting to practice. Now at this point, we're at number 8. We're going to mix up the order of the chords. So I might start with C, G, F, C, and I'm going to repeat it, say the number of it. 1, 5, 4, 1. And let's mix it up again. 5, 4, 5, 4, 1. And you can do this for a long time, just mixing up the order of the chords. Again, strengthening the relationship between the 1, the 4, and the 5, committing the feel to memory, the sound to memory, and the letter names and the number names. Number 9 is that we might even mix up the order of the notes. So in my C chord, I have C, E, and G, right? And that's always going to be my C chord regardless of the order of those notes. So I might actually mix that up and play E, G, C. Now, how can I get to the 4 chord, which is F, A, C, in the simplest way? I might just move here. And then the 5 chord is G, B, D. But instead of going up here, I might go G, B, D. So let's mix up the order a little bit. So C chord, F chord, G chord, C chord. Let's do 1, 4, 5, 1. And there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could double up on notes. So in the C chord, it's C, E, G, C. I could do that. C, G, F, C. I could put them in other other inversions, meaning continuing to mix up the order of the notes. And this is really not only going to help you strengthen the relationship between the primary triads being 1, 4, and 5, but really commit the individual notes of each of those chords into your memory. Now, number 10 is that when you're mixing up the order of the notes, you're still going to be speaking out loud. Yes, I did put that as multiple steps in here because that's how important it is. So C, G, F, C, C, G, F, C. And continue to do this for a few minutes each day, and you are going to master the memorization of the primary triads in each key. Obviously, you want to stick with one key until it's really comfortable, and then you can move on to another key. You might do one per practice session or one per week. It really depends on your level and how fast you memorize them, but I would say taking your time is not going to hurt you here. Let's talk about your bonus tip. So I want you to pull up a piece of music that you're working on, or really any piece of Western classical music. Something from the classical period would be best here. So for example, let's look at Mozart's Sonata in C. In the key of C, the primary triads are the C chord, the F chord, and the G chord. And so I want you to put on your detective hat and dive into this piece. You don't even have to play it in order to do this. See if you can find any measures where you notice these primary triads. Now, in the case of the Mozart Sonata, we have primary triads all over the place. You can see in measure 1, we start with our 1 chord. In measure 2, we have the 5 chord. Measure 3, we have the 4 chord, and so on and so forth. And you are going to notice that in a lot of pieces of music, these primary triads are all over the place. Doing this bonus tip is going to help you solidify these primary triads to your memory, but also make the connection between the way that you're practicing them on the piano and the way that you memorize them, and making it actually relevant in the pieces of music that you're learning. So take these steps and go forward to memorize all of your primary triads. Don't forget to reserve your free seat for Piano Practice Lab. I'll put the link here on the end screen, where you're also going to find an additional video about how to memorize any major or minor chord. Happy practicing!